Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. I have with me Joan and Sarah. So, just for those who are tuning in to the show, thanks for tuning in. Sarah, me, and Joan, we all went to high school together, and we played volleyball, right?
Yeah, I was going to remind you of that if you didn't put that in.
Oh, yeah, the whole volleyball thing. I mean, do you still, I still play volleyball now.
You really? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, beach volleyball for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, I stopped playing for years, and then I got back into it when I was at Humber. So, and then I played indoor, and then I injured my ankle. And then after that, I wanted to get back into something. So then I started playing indoor in North York, and lo and behold, the community we started playing indoor together, and then it was beach. So I play more beach now, but I mean, it's been interesting, right? How we know each other.
That's
Later.
That's awesome, Carlene. Yeah, I haven't played in, oh gosh, in years, because I basically stopped when I got pregnant the first time. So I haven't played in 5 years? Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Even longer than that for me. The last time I touched volleyball was probably in university.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go hang out at the beach one day.
Yeah, you guys should come. Look, you know what? It's interesting. My sisters, I've dragged my sisters. They came down at least once this summer. So yeah, you guys should definitely come down to Woodbine. This has been my 4th summer, and it's it's a whole different community, you know? The beach became everything for me this year. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, we graduated. I feel so, it's been so long, right?
Oh,
oh my God. Yeah. So many years ago.
17 years ago?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, we've known each other for a really long time.
Oh my goodness.
And thanks to Yim. You know, Yim's not here with us, but she's kind of brought us back to have our reunion. I've known Yim since we're 8, and it's
wow.
Yeah, we went to the same elementary school together, and here we are, 17 years later, and look at you now. You guys are moms, so it's wow.
Talking about parenting.
Who would have thought, right?
Yeah, for sure. Oh man.
Oh my God. And Joan is a teacher. Look at all that.
Yeah, I know.
How long you been teaching now?
This is my 11th year, I think.
Wow.
Yeah,
I know. Long. Oh my gosh. Wow. Time does fly.
It does fly.
Yeah. And Sarah, you're still at TD. What do you do again? Tell for those, what do you do now?
Yeah, it's still at TD. I've been there for 9 years now, working in finance. So
I know you've always been that competitive person. I remember when we used to have class together in economics, Sarah would be like, what mark did you get, Carlene?
When we were talking about academics, we were laughing and doing sports. That's my
I know, right? You think about it, high school. I mean, we were able to do so much. I remember, we did school and sports, and I danced too, and it's just
oh yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Do you still dance?
No, I don't dance anymore, but I'm like you. That's the thing. I haven't done it in years, but it's just been one of those things. But yeah. Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Larger Than the Ribs by Altered by Mom.
Is it worse to be hurt in the heart or the brain?
Or the mind? I don't mind, but I'll sing just the same.
It's a pain in the head, in the ass, it'll pass.
Is it truth? Is it lies? Do we grow? Will we die?
Do we drown or get shot? Maybe choke on the smoke?
Maybe hang by our necks? What the heck? All the same.
Do we hug? Do we kiss? Do we even exist? Are you pissed? Are you mad? I can't tell what this is. 'Cause my heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is looking for a heart, looking for a heart that will take it. My heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. This is strong against weak, I can't speak, I was wrong.
Oh, not right, but so close. Has a cat and got your nose.
Got your tongue, we had fun, I can't sleep in the dark.
This is sharp, one treat. If you are what you eat.
Then I'm lost in the fog, acting young, feeling old.
Are you cold? Was it real? Was it pain? Only trick.
If you give, I would take little space for mistakes. My missteps, I'm aware, but sometimes I can't. Cause my heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is looking for a heart, looking for a heart that will take it. My heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. Larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is looking for a heart, looking for a heart that will take it. My heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. Larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs.
Hi, I'm Carlene, and you're listening to Carlene Tonight. Tonight we feature Altered by Mom. The song is Larger Than the Ribs. The band's been together since 2016, and you can check them out on Spotify, on Facebook, and Twitter, Altered by Mom. Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. I have two guests with me tonight. I've got Joan and Sarah, and I know them both from high school. How you guys doing?
Hi, Carlene.
Good.
Sarah, I'm going to put you on the spotlight. So tell me about your daughter.
Yeah, so her name is Natalie, and she's 5 years old. She loves to sing and dance and be the center of attention a lot of the times. She's fairly outgoing. She's also a little athlete in the making. This summer, we started her on golf. Just her dad and I, and this winter she'll continue skating and skiing. So I feel like I see a lot of myself in Natalie as she's starting to get older and taking a liking to some of the hobbies and activities that I'm into.
So Joan, tell me about your little one.
So I have two, and my older daughter, her name is Hannah. She's 4. And my younger one is 2. His name is Jacob. So they're very different. So that's really interesting. Hannah is, she's a lot more quiet, kind of shy, takes some time to warm up to people. But when she gets to know somebody, then she is a little bit crazy. Like she'll just start laughing and playing around with you and stuff like that. But Jacob's different because he is a lot more outgoing and he'll warm up to people a lot faster. And he is a little bit of a handful, I guess. He just gets into everything. He's very curious and he likes to explore. And what do they like? They're just kids, I guess. They like to play together. They like to I don't know. They love to be outside. They like to explore and play in the snow. Lately, we've had some snowfall. So, yeah. So they just like kids.
So I guess you and Sarah, like, I guess Hannah and Natalie, they're around close age group, right? So have you explained to them about COVID? Like, I mean, I feel like this is kind of a hard thing for kids to understand, you know, like it's not like you're an adult and you put a grab on it. Like, I feel like it's a little bit more challenging. Like, have you explained that to them or?
Well, I guess I've tried to, not so much Jacob, because his world is still kind of the same as it would have been before COVID. But with Hannah, it definitely changed a lot because she was going to daycare and then she had to stay home for those couple of months, I guess from March to August. So in August, we actually put her back into school. So she kind of gets it, I think. She understands that, well, I keep telling her that there's germs everywhere, which is why we couldn't go outside. But now, you know, at the beginning, and she didn't really like wearing the masks and stuff. It was kind of restrictive, but then the fact that she went back to school and she sees her friends doing it, it's kind of like a peer pressure thing. So she'll be like, oh, so-and-so has 3 masks at school today. I want to bring 3 masks. And I'm like, you don't need 3 masks. But anyways, whatever. I just let her bring it because it makes her happy. So it's fine.
Yeah.
So I think she has a general idea of what it is, but I'm not really sure how deep of an understanding that is.
Yeah. I guess because they're still so young, right? So Sarah, do you find that you can relate to that with your daughter? Or?
Yeah, I mean, Natalie's I think about a year older than Hannah, and so she does have a bit more of a grasp of what COVID is. I remember back in March, you know, that weekend right before we all went into that first lockdown, my uncle had sent this little cartoon educational video about COVID, which was, I guess it came from China because they were already experiencing it, but it was fully in English. And it just explained in very simple terms to kids, you know, what they needed to do, that there was this virus and they needed to wash their hands and stay at home, and why they wouldn't be able to see their friends or go to the museum. So I kind of used that as my first sort of teaching or resource to introduce the concept of COVID to Natalie. And then I guess over the months, like she's been hearing, you know, adults conversing about it. She'll hear about it on the news, and she's been living it the same as we have. And so I think, you know, kids who are around 4 or 5, like they're really starting to understand why they can and can't do certain things. But we did take a slightly different approach from Joan in that I did opt to keep Natalie at home. So she is doing virtual school right now. But a lot of her classmates actually are attending in person. And so that's very different. But I think it, you know, because we had gone through it for so many months already, she didn't really question why she was being held, you know, to school at home, and she didn't protest to the idea. I think she just generally understands that there is a virus out there that's really causing us to change and adapt from our pre-COVID lives.
Yeah. With that, well, I mean, obviously I went right into COVID there, but I mean, the show is basically tonight we're talking about parenting and being a mom and just the experience in itself. So I guess going back to just the beginning, like how your daughter is now in comparison to when she was a baby, how was that? Like, what was, I mean, going through the stages of like her now and then, and like what kind of baby was she?
Yeah, I'll say Natalie was generally a pretty happy baby. She wasn't really fussy. She's a good eater, generally a good sleeper at night. Naps were a challenge for her. But, when she was younger, she had, just like a lot of issues that we had to deal with. She had like skin problems and food allergies as a child, which luckily now that she's 5, she outgrew a lot of them. But in those early months and years, it was tough trying to navigate those challenges and trying to really determine, what works for her, what the doctors were saying, things that you would read on the internet on how to, just get them a bit more comfortable. I think in general, parenthood itself is already hard enough, but then for parents out there who are having to deal with added complexities of health concerns for their children, it's even tougher. But generally, I think, Natalie was a good kid. She was happy all the time. And so I think that sort of balanced out with all the tough stuff that we were dealing with at the time.
Yeah. So Joan, how about you? What's your experience like? I didn't even know that you have another one. I just met the baby, like, I mean, the first one like 5 years ago. So now when you're like, oh, I have 2, and I'm like, oh, wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know time passes by really, really quickly. It really does fly. I guess the 2 of mine, again, they're just really, really different. They had their, I guess they were good babies, but in different ways. Like Jacob was a much better sleeper than Hannah. He was, he had to learn between night and day and try to figure out like when you're supposed to sleep and when you're supposed to be awake. But, once he figured it out, he was okay. Hannah, she was a little bit tougher in terms of like teaching her like when was sleep time and when was playtime. But in general, like she's pretty easygoing now. I don't know. She's a lot easier to deal with, I think. Jacob is more of like a firecracker. He just goes off and he does his own thing. He marches to his own tune type of thing. But yeah, I totally understand what Sarah was saying about the whole health concerns and I never really had this with Hannah, but with Jacob, he also has skin conditions. Like he has eczema that has been just kind of like this ongoing thing for the past 2 years that he's got so many like medical creams prescribed for him. Like he's got more prescriptions than I've gotten in the past like 5 years, and he's only 2. And I'm just, I guess, like just trying to find something that works for him has been kind of challenging. But once, he is also easygoing in the sense that it doesn't really bother him that his skin is, flaring up and it's all red and stuff. Like he does say it's itchy and all that, and it's uncomfortable, but he deals with it. And the lotions actually really are helpful.
Wow.
But yeah, I totally agree with Sarah. It's like it's hard to see your child uncomfortable, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess because he's 2, you said, right? So do you find that he's going through the terrible 2s, as they say, like, like, I want this now,
You know what? I say like 3 is probably harder, actually. Because I feel like the more they know, the more they question you and the more trouble they can get into. sometimes, people say the first year is hard, but now looking back, I feel like, it was relatively easy, right? Like, for sure that if they're crying, it's probably because of the fact that they're either tired or they're hungry or they need their diaper changed. It doesn't get too much more complex than that. But as they grow older, they have needs and they have wants, and they may not yet be able to explain what it is that they want. So then you get into the temper tantrums, like you were saying, the terrible twos. But like the older they get, it's like the more you have to deal with. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they ask so many questions, right? They have
for sure.
Yeah.
Why is like their favorite question.
Yeah.
Why?
That's so interesting, though. Like, that to hear from your experience. So, do you think that saying is true about the whole sleep deprivation? Like in the first year, as a mom, like Sarah, what do you think? Like, what's your take on that? Did you find that gotten used to sleeping like 5 hours, or what was that like?
Yeah, I'd say even less than that at the beginning, for sure. I think something to remember for those soon-to-be parents out there is that yes, you're going to be getting less sleep, but it's really going to be coupled with a ton of new tasks and responsibilities that you've now filled your day with, and you constantly have to be alert and ready to feed and ready to change at the drop of a hat and do tasks that you're not used to doing. And so I think it's the combination of the two that makes, that first year, just exhausting in general. It may not be the toughest year, as Joan said, because there are challenges at every stage of their lives. But certainly from a sleep perspective, you're getting way less. I'd say probably, the first little bit, you're not sleeping any more than 2 to 4 hours straight of shut eye in a row. But with Natalie and, I opted to sleep train her at a fairly young age. So because of that, I was able to really try to maximize my own sleep as well as hers, as much as we could. And mind you, like, she had lots of relapses along the way as they go through milestones. So I had to retrain and, re-endure those nights of crying. But eventually we got there. I think I was, of the parenting mindset that sleep was super important for both of us. And so as soon as she got to a comfortable age where, it was recommended that that you can start sleep training, that's what I ended up doing. And I think in the long run, it ended up being the best decision because, we both benefited from more sleep. But it wasn't easy the first year for us, for sure.
Yeah. I guess, is it better now? I guess because she's 5, right? She just turned 5 a few months ago or whatever.
Yeah, she's been a great sleeper for as long as I can remember now. After that first year with like a few hiccups after that, like it's been pretty smooth with her. So no complaints on the sleep side for me, at least not due to her.
That's so good. Joan, how do you feel? Like, you have a 2-year-old. Like, how was it with Jacob versus Hannah?
Jacob was a better sleeper, I would say, and he figured out how to sleep on his own. Obviously, like, we had to train him, like Sarah was saying, but once he figured it out, it was a lot easier. The second time around is also easier because you know what to expect. When you do all the reading out there about, when you're trying to learn how to parent, it's great to read books and read other people's experiences. But until you actually go ahead and live through it yourself, it really is not the same as reading about it. So that's why the second time around, maybe it was easier because maybe I had a little bit more experience to deal with some of the crying and all that. And I think for, like you were saying, Sarah, for those parents to be out there, I think the biggest thing is to be consistent with the sleep training. As long as you're consistent and you keep doing the same thing every single night, then the kids will get it. It's when you cave and you give in to their crying, then you just set yourselves back. So I know it sounds hard. It's really hard. It's really hard to hear your child cry. But just always remember that, if you change it up on them, it's just going to make it worse. So if you keep going and they cry for a little bit, but you stick with your plan, then they will figure out the sleeping much sooner and everybody will get sleep, like Sarah was saying.
Eventually you'll get caught up on sleep. It sounds like it's a new routine, you know what I mean? And
for sure.
Getting them to bed at a certain time. Do you feel like you've become like very routine in your life and structured in a way?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Sure. Because the thing is that the kids, they only, like, especially at the beginning, they only last until a certain time. Like usually they tend to sleep a lot earlier than we do. So it really is helpful if you're able to get everything done before that particular time, like get them fed, get them bathed, do your nighttime routine. So if you can do it by a certain time, then it will definitely help you. And so as a result, yes, your life does become much more routine compared to before. But I think that's a small price to pay instead of having to deal with temper tantrums and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. So what's the most challenging part about being a parent? Because you said you read books and everything, but it's different until you're actually experiencing it.
I'd say it's like a never-ending guessing game, and it's both mentally and physically exhausting. As a parent, you're always worried about them in some way, shape, or form. Why are they not eating? Why are they being fussy? Are they going to get hurt from doing a certain activity or sport? How are they progressing against their peers? You're just constantly in this state of trying to figure them out. And you're trying to do your best and you just hope that it's not wrong at the end of the day. But there's no one and there's no finite, evaluation to give you that validation that you're doing it right. So you're kind of always just flying off the seat of your pants. And I think that is something that's personally challenging for me, because I've always sort of taken the mindset of, us going through school, and the three of us have gone through school together. Like you study hard and you pass a test and you get a good grade, and that's your validation for it. But with parenting, there's really no report card at the end of the day to tell you that you've done it right. And so you're always just sort of guessing, and it'll be a never ending guessing game. But that's not to discourage people from having kids, because I think that's what keeps you mentally engaged as well. That you're kind of challenging yourself as you're going through it and continuing to learn from all the things that your child is doing.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting perspective, though, because I guess, because out of the both of you, I'm not a parent. So I'm just learning through you guys just how it's been and just the experience in itself. And I guess it's rewarding at the end of the day if you're going through those milestones with them, right? As they're getting older and things are changing. And I guess for me, like this show is probably like an educational place for people to learn, and like I'm learning through you guys like how it is to be a parent, and nothing's perfect, but you're learning something new every day, right? So yeah.
The thing that's really interesting is with the kids, you actually come to experience life a little bit differently, in the sense that you just come to appreciate the little things, because the kids see stuff differently. Like, for example, like when the snow fell, they were so happy, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I see snow, my first thought is, oh man, I got to go get up and shovel the snow, right? Whereas with the kids, they're like, oh, it's so exciting. Like, I want to go play in it. And then, so through them, you just come to appreciate the little things again. And you're like, oh yeah, snow is pretty fun. Like, you can have a lot of fun with it. You can build stuff with it. You can make snow angels, all that kind of stuff. So it's, that aspect about parenting is really nice.
Yeah, I guess it kind of like, if you're having a bad day, I guess like even with the kids, they kind of lift your spirits up, right? Especially living in Canada. I've been living here for 30 years, and every year I'm like, oh my gosh, we got snow again. Like you said, I have to go get boots. Well, this year I had to go get boots. So it's like, oh, the dread of being here. I'm like, why am I here in Canada? Why?
I know where you're going. Once the travel restrictions are lifted, Carlene, you're probably going to go somewhere warm, right?
Right. I know I have to. That's what I feel, but who knows how long that's going to be.
I know. Yeah.
Right. Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. We have for you Altered by Mom, A-B list celebrity.
I have nothing left. My get up and go just got up and went. I failed the test so miserably. I'm completely out of time, like old chewing gum. It's come to be clear just what I've become, a B-list celebrity in the autograph line. A stronger man could maybe explain my journey in and out of fame. There was a time when I was your world, and now I am not. Saw you in a dream, with lakes for eyes, you were looking through me, and a forest split us off between its everlasting pines. Guess it isn't true that two become one when one of the two is a B-list celebrity in the autograph line.
Hi, I'm Carlene, and you're listening to Carlene Tonight. That was altered by Mom. The song's called A-B-List Celebrity. I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. I have with me Joan and Sarah. What advice do you have for new parents? Who wants to go first?
Oh man, there's so much. I think one of the things that I always tell my friends is catch up on some sleep before baby comes. And, spend some time with your partner, because you might not have a lot of opportunity to spend with your partner after baby comes, or, you may, but you may just be really tired. So get some sleep and spend some time with your partner.
Yeah. What about you, Sarah? What do you think? That's some good advice. I'm just like, I love sleep. I don't know.
Believe me, I loved sleep too. Yeah, I think on advice front, like everyone's gonna get so much advice, like solicited or unsolicited, from everybody and their uncle about how to be a good parent, and some of it could work and some of it may not, but a lot of parenting is just figuring it out as you go. And I think people just need to trust their own instincts. They'll know what's best or what works best for their family and their child. And it's important not to set unrealistic expectations of yourself on how to be a parent. Of course, like Joan mentioned, there's tons of resources out there, books, internet articles, videos, podcasts, blogs, and it can really feel like information overload. So I'd tell new parents to really just take it in small strides, get it to a point where you feel that you're informed and comfortable, but don't feel overwhelmed, because there's really no such thing as being a perfect parent.
I would also say, take some time off before baby comes, and then just spend some time with yourself if you can.
Yeah, take some time. Yeah, I guess it's time to reflect. But I guess the one thing I do want to ask you both is, did you have the help from your family with the kids? I think it's different when you have help versus not having help, just relying on you and your partner, or just the experience. So what do you think about that? What was your experience like?
Yeah, I think for me, I definitely have my close family nearby. And so I had that option of getting support when I needed it. And I think one of the maybe things I would have changed for myself as a new mom at the beginning was to accept more help. In hindsight, I think I ended up doing and taking on a lot more than I should have. For reasons, I guess, it was pride. I thought that I can handle it. I thought I could bounce back relatively quickly after giving birth. But in the long run, when I look back, I really exhausted myself, and there's a lot of emotions and hormones that go through you once you give birth, and you don't really know how your body's going to react to all of that. And so I ended up, doing a lot of it on my own. And just to get a little bit more real, my ex, who's Natalie's father at the time, he was going through a lot of personal issues and family health issues, and so he wasn't there for a good chunk of the time once Natalie was born. So things became really tough, and I was having to go through it, I think, a lot on my own, because I didn't want others to find out that I was struggling. And when I look back at it now, it wasn't the right decision, and I should have accepted the help that was offered. But I do have tons of great family and friends that I surround myself with, and it will make your life so much easier when you accept that help, because they care about you, they care about your child, and they want what's best for you. So don't shy away from family and friends who are willing to lend a hand.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. That's like really vulnerable there. Like as a mom, like, oh my God, I think it makes you look at things from a different perspective, obviously.
Yeah.
I have one friend who told me about her pregnancy after, and like, you think everything is okay on the surface, but it really isn't. And then you're like surprised after. I'm like, wow, I can't believe you went through that during your pregnancy, right? So it really is hard. It's an experience, right? It's a chapter in your life, and what they say, it doesn't kill you, just makes you stronger. So I guess you're
That's
strong.
so true. That's so
Right?
true, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree with Sarah. You definitely should accept help if your family happens to be close by, and you can accept the help. It's just nice to be able to converse with another adult. When you're with your child all the time, it's tough because they can't yet speak to you at the beginning, and you obviously want the best for them, but for your own mental health, like being able to speak with another adult is really great. And yes, if your partner is there, great, but you also need to speak to somebody other than your partner, if that makes any sense. Like, your parents, your friends. Like it's hard because you're there and you're the primary caregiver for your child, but trying to make time for other people is really important. So
Yeah. I guess like they say, the first year is really challenging, like just everything all at once, right? Make like more time taking care of someone else because it's really not you anymore. But
exactly.
But I really appreciate you guys coming and sharing your experiences of being a mom and what it's like, and even during COVID, right? I guess it's just been a different experience. So I mean, how is it now? Like, because you both parent differently. So your kids are at school, and then Sarah said her daughter's at home. So I guess, Sarah, I just want to know, how is it virtually? Because she's Natalie's 5, like, virtual learning.
Yeah, I was very hesitant about it at first. To really stick a 5-year-old in front of a computer all day, really did not expect that even at this age, like she would even know what a computer is yet. But to actually, encourage them to be independent and learn how to use a mouse and click on the keyboard. I think she's really surprised me in a lot of ways, because I'm still working at home, and at a full-time, fairly high demand job. And so she tends to just, be in the other room and just listen to the teacher, and she participates. Joan is a teacher, so, she's been through it. And it's a big classroom. There's lots of other kids. At the beginning, there were some hiccups with technology and kids trying to just pay attention. Learning how to mute and unmute for 2 weeks straight was a bit of a challenge. But it actually has worked out, and it's like she loves her teacher. She's been able to make friends virtually, which has been great. And we just had parent-teacher interviews yesterday, and talking with the teacher one-on-one really gives you, a sense that she's not missing out on a significant sort of experience versus being at school in person, at least at her age, and academically. of course, there's the social aspect that she's not getting as much if she was in person. But, from a curriculum standpoint and from a progression standpoint, I'm quite happy with the way that, teachers have been able to adapt, and kudos to Joan for being able to do it, because I I would for sure not be able to school my child, and with the amount of patience that teachers have, especially for young kids like in kindergarten.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, Joan, I mean, I don't even know, what grade do you teach?
I'm actually teaching kindergarten
oh my God.
virtually. So, so my situation is a little bit different because I'm working from home because I'm teaching virtually, but both of my kids are at school. And a lot of that is my schedule is not very flexible in the sense that, like, I couldn't have my son in the background running around yelling, because you wouldn't be able to hear anything, like as an audience member, like as a student in the class. Like, it would be very difficult for them to be able to hear what's happening. And with Hannah, it's fine if she's at home, because she knows that if I'm teaching, she needs to be quiet and she does her own thing. But with Jacob being 2 years old, he doesn't quite get it yet. And so if he wants your attention, he needs it now. And so, I can't always give it to him. And my husband's schedule is kind of the same in the sense that, like, they have their meetings and stuff, and it's harder for him to shuffle things around. But yeah, it's COVID. It's been quite a challenge. Let's put it that way. It's been, I definitely do love being in the classroom more, because you can form those relationships with the kids. And yes, I'm pretty sure, all of the teachers go into teaching for a reason. And, people love what they do, and they'll try their best to recreate that classroom experience for the kids. But I'm not really convinced that it's that we're doing the same thing. Like, I don't know. For me, Sarah, like, I'm just always questioning myself and thinking, like, is this it? Like, are they actually getting, anything from this? Like, sometimes it's so difficult for the kids to pay attention online, for a lot of them, that I'm just like, oh man, I don't even know if the kids are listening right now. So yeah, so it's been interesting. It's been a good learning experience anyway. I mean, I got to figure out all this tech stuff and all, but it does make you think creatively as to how you can deliver the curriculum through the internet.
Well, virtual learning, it's a new experience. Like, I even did it this summer, and everything was virtual, Joan. I went back to, I did business boot camp virtually, and you see them, but it's really not the same. It's like, I met my coordinators on camera. We did a graduation photo like virtually. Like, it's just, but I'm like, I met you guys, but I didn't meet you in person. So
yes.
It's definitely a new experience. What a year, right?
Yeah, I know. What a year. I can't wait. I'm waiting for us to get back to normal. I hope that's soon.
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely one for the history books, right?
Yeah, for sure. But you were saying that your aunt is a nurse, Carlene, and she said that normal may not be until at least summer of 2021.
Yeah, she said that to me. Like, I mean, she's in Grenada, where the numbers are very low. I mean, Grenada is a very small island, and they had 24 cases, and I think they just had one new case, but the numbers don't even compare to the rest of the world. But they've contained it. Like, they cut everything. Like, no one is allowed to come in, and they put, like, what's it called? Curfew. Like, you could only go to the beach in the morning between like 6 in the morning to 11. They did all these things to make sure. But yeah, I guess from a medical perspective, that's what she thinks. So, I mean, she could be right, like
Yeah.
it is going to take a while for us to get back to, I don't even know what the new normal will be. They say this is the new normal, right? But it's just only time will tell, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this has been a great experience. And thanks so much for coming on the show, Joan and Sarah.
Thanks
Well,
for having
thanks for
us.
having us, Carlene.
Yeah, this is great. I've learned so
Yeah.
much about you guys,
Aw, well, it's also great to see you since we're on Zoom together.
For sure. I'm just going to wrap it up. I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. I have Joan and Sarah giving us a experience, a parental experience through life, just their experience as parents. And it's been great. So thank you guys.
Thank you again, Carlene.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Carlene Tonight.
My heart is larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is larger than the ribs that contain it.